Today we are going to discuss the passive voice, which is a term we use to describe a certain quality of verbs. Our goal today is to be able to distinguish between active and passive voice verbs. So our first question is, what is an active voice verb? And so far, you have only worked with verbs which are in the active voice. Let's write down an example. In this sentence, the boy bakes a cake. Our subject is the boy, and the verb is bakes. Now we have to ask ourselves, what is the relationship between the subject and the verb? In this case, the subject is doing the verb. The boy is baking. And so in this sentence, and in all other sentences which have active voice verbs, the subject does the action. However, it is possible to maintain the same meaning of this sentence, but change the relationship between the subject and the verb. Watch. I have now just written the sentence, the cake is baked by the boy. I haven't changed the meaning of the sentence, but I have changed the relationship between the subject and the verb. Now our subject is the word cake, and our verb is the phrase is baked. Is the cake doing the action? Not unless it magically grew arms. In this case, the subject or the cake is receiving the action. It's what's being baked. So in this sentence, and in all other sentences with passive voice verbs, the subject receives the action. Let's look at a couple other examples. First, we have the sentence, the boy cooked a meal for the dog. What a lucky dog. In this case, our subject is the boy, and our verb is cooked. Is the subject doing or receiving the action? If you guess doing, that's great. The boy is the one who is doing the action. He's the one who cooked the meal for the dog. And so here we have an active voice verb. Let's look at the sentence below. The meal for the dog was cooked by the boy. Here our subject is the meal, and our verb is the phrase was cooked. What's the relationship between the subject and the verb now? In this case, the subject receives the action. It's what's being cooked. And so we have a passive voice verb. Let's look at our next sentence. The man scaled the mountain. Can you identify the subject and the verb on your own? All right. If you said that the man is the subject and the word scaled is your verb, that is correct. And what's our relationship between the subject and the verb here? Is the man doing or receiving? In this case, the man is the one doing. He's the one who scaled the mountain. And so we have another active voice verb. What about the sentence below? Once again, try and find the subject and the verb on your own. Okay, our subject is the mountain, and our verb is the phrase was scaled. In this case, the mountain is the one who's receiving the action. It's what's being scaled. And so we have a passive voice verb. Awesome. All right, now let's take a look at our three passive voice verb sentences. We have the cake is baked by the boy. We have the meal for the dog was cooked by the boy. And finally, the mountain was scaled by the man. Now let's look at all three of these sentences to fill in the blank. As you can deduce from above, passive voice sentences often include a form of the verb blank in English. Try and figure it out on your own. All right, if you guessed the form of the verb to be, then you are correct. In sentence 1, we have is. In sentence 2, we have was. And we have was again for sentence 3. All right. In this slide, we have a series of active voice sentences, or rather sentences with active voice verbs. Your challenge here is to convert these sentences so that they now have passive voice verbs. We'll do the first one together. The boy ate a whole chicken. First of all, that's pretty impressive. I don't think I could eat a whole chicken. In this sentence, our subject is the boy, and our verb is the word ate. The boy is doing the action. He's the one who ate the whole chicken. In order to change the sentence so it maintains the same meaning, but to change the relationship between the subject and the verb, we're now going to write the whole chicken was eaten. Note how I'm using a form of the verb to be by the boy. All right. I want you to pause the video now and try to do the next 6 sentences on your own. In a few seconds, I'll put up the answers. Okay, here are the answers. Make sure to check your work. Hopefully now you feel more comfortable distinguishing between active and passive voice verbs.